He did publicly talk about this before the lawsuits were put out, but I want to clarify, they tried to keep this a secret. And they had a PR campaign, allegedly, that they were going to use to try to take me down. And they were getting Barry Wise's team, Josh Hammer's team, involved in this to try to like create this thing. And we found out about it and then made it public, which is why like she hasn't really been tweeting and they haven't really been saying anything. We sort of like blew the lid on the operation. It was going to try to like take me down, and they were searching for other info to grab me on.
Kash Patel's girlfriend has filed a lawsuit, and Elijah Schaffer is named. Now, apparently he's being accusing her of being a Mossad agent or something to that effect. Now, the story starts to get very weird because Elijah Schaffer has I believe it's his producer, designated his personal security and operations manager a national security threat, giving him the 4 S's on his airline ticket 72 hours after he was doxxed and had to relocate due to lawfare connected to the FBI director. Now, for those that aren't familiar with the story, it's a bit of high-level personal drama combined with government action, which is strange. And let me take a look at this right here from Newsweek. We'll give you the quick breakdown. Conservative influencer Elijah Schaffer called the defamation lawsuit filed against him by FBI Director Kash Patel's girlfriend, Alexis Wilkins, totally delusional and paranoid legal behavior. Schaffer is one of a number of prominent social media personalities sued by Wilkins over what she says are damaging and false claims that she is an agent of Israeli intelligence working as a honeypot to compromise Patel. Newsweek has contacted Schaffer via social media, and, they're waiting for comment. They go on to mention that Wilkins is a country music singer, podcast host, writer, and political commentator. She and Patel reportedly started dating in early 23. While their relationship has been public knowledge for some time, Wilkins' name has been pushed into the conversation following conspiracy theories circulating online about her, and Patel issuing a statement where he slammed baseless attacks against her. Now, I have to agree, I don't think she is a Mossad agent. They've been dating long before Kash was in the or working for the FBI, and I believe she's been here on IRL before, as well as Kash. We've known them for years. I'll put it this way. Knowing Kash Patel, understanding the politics around him and his job with the Trump administration, I'm pretty sure they're not, it's not a spy. She's not Mossad. I don't want to say too much to air people's, private business, but Kash was working really, really hard to be a part of this administration. And it was all very, I got to admit, like what I had seen in the conversations we had, it was very human, very normal, very job application-y. I didn't see anything weird happening behind the scenes. Now, that's not to say that I know for sure. Certainly, stranger things have happened. But now the story has developed a little bit further. Elijah Schaffer points out, he says, my family has been criminally doxxed due to Alexis Wilkins' frivolous lawsuit. The FBI Director Kash Patel's proxy lawsuit was meant to intimidate me and silence my online voice. It contains malicious lies to dehumanize me. We now have to leave our home. Followed by, the FBI has now designated my personal security and operations manager a national security threat with the 4 S's, it's called. Well, Drew Hernandez, we have first ALX and then Brianna Morello, and then I'll get to Drew Hernandez's point. ALX says, administration official, quote, the quadruple S designation, in this case is random, could be due to all passengers being booked on the same passenger notification record. Instance was a mere coincidence. Thousands of Americans experience extra screening daily. Individual is not watch listed, and they were not detained. Interesting. Brianna Morello says, TSA tells me Elijah Schaffer is not a security threat and was not targeted with quadruple S. His producer was simply a random selection that happens all the time to people through our system. He wasn't detained, wasn't arrested. The quadruple S is not the Quiet Skies program. They're claiming it's just slight enhanced screening. We're going to be joined by Elijah in just a minute. We're getting him geared up and ready to go. But there's some more context. Drew Hernandez says, I got Quad S after the Rittenhouse trial and was told directly from TSA, you're on a list you don't want to be on. The fact this is still happening in 2025 with Trump in the White House is a disgrace. Well, my friends, as we wait for them to bring in Elijah, he's getting ready. He's in the, we have the, you got to do the old video setup. I will tell you my thoughts on this, and then we'll bring into Elijah to explain. After Occupy Wall Street, I had been invited to speak at many places. I flew to London. As I was boarding my return flight to New York, the ticket I had 4 S's on it. I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't think much of it. I went to board, and when I scanned my ticket to board the plane, they said, "You've been randomly chosen for an additional screening." And I laughed and said, "Uh-huh." A guy in a suit walked up and asked me to follow him, brought me down these stairs, and there was a folding table where he asked me to place my bag. And I said, "Random, huh?" And he's like, "Well, you're on a list, man." And he laughed. And I laughed. I said, "Probably. Considering Occupy Wall Street, this is what I expected to be the case." Around this time, I had been stopped, and I will tell you this. I'll tell you where it gets real crazy. I get stopped at LaGuardia, and I have a bag. There's a technical issue right now for the interview, so I'm going to patter, and I'll tell you some stories while we wait for Elijah to get set up. I had a backpack. It was a camera bag. It contained my camera gear, my laptop, and I had a USB drive with some journalistic information that my friend had gathered that he wanted me to hold on to in the event that he was working on some stories, and he had said, "Look, if in the event I don't come back from overseas, like, here's a copy of everything I'm working on." I said, "Okay." So I go to LaGuardia. I'm standing in line, and I get told I've been chosen for a random screening. But wait, I had already placed my bags on the conveyor belt as they were about to go through the x-ray. And they said, "Oh, actually, sir, you've been chosen for a random screening." And I said, "Okay, can you grab my bags for me?" He said, "No, we can't do that. You need to come with us." And I said, "I'm not going to leave my bag where I can't see it." And they said, "Sir, we have to screen you. You've been flagged. This is like, we have to do this." And they said, "Don't worry, your bag is right there. We're watching it. Everything will be fine." What am I supposed to do? I said, "I want my bag." And they outright said, "Sir, you'll be standing right here." I couldn't see my bag. They wand me, they search me, they pat me down, and they say, "False alarm." They didn't literally say false alarm. They said, "All clear. This is normal. It happens." I go to grab my bag. I walk to the plane. And guess what? The backup USB drive is gone. Yep. They took it. I don't know who took it. I don't know why they took it, but they took it. It was gone. And the worst thing was, I complained. I said, "Guys, if you wanted the stories that my buddy was working on, you can have them. I'll plug it in your computer. You can take whatever you want." It's just, that was, at the time, a very expensive USB stick. Jeez, at least reimburse me for it. Looks like we got Elijah. He's geared up and ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed the stories. But let's bring in Elijah right now to talk to us about what is currently going on. And let's here we go. I think we got it good to go. Booting it up, pulling it in, and I believe we've got Elijah right here. Elijah!
Are we live?
We are live, sir. How's it going?
Dude, it's going well. Sorry, apparently you guys are getting a pixelated video, but we have a gig up here, so
you look
maybe
terrible.
Can't tell if it's the FBI doing this or the Jews. No, I'm just kidding.
So this is actually pre-recorded. It's not live, just so you know, but we're recording this right now. So I've been following your story. Actually, while we were trying to figure out the technical issues, I was telling the story about how I've had similar things with the quadruple S on my pass. And I was told when I was in London, when I got this, that I was on a list. That the reason why when I printed my pass out, I got this, I was on a list. So let's start from the beginning. And just like, so you're getting sued by the director of the FBI's girlfriend. Now your producer is getting flagged for additional like security screenings. You got doxxed. What's happening?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a few weeks ago, we started noticing some weird activity. What I'm holding in my hand right here is a letter from Citibank. And I get a letter in Citibank that says, "Hi, Elijah. One or more of your authorized users on your business account has been identified as someone who can no longer service as a result. We've disclosed your current account and opened up new accounts excluding certain individuals,
Whoa.
i.e. Michael Hennessy, my operations manager." And I go, "That's weird." So Citibank closes my business accounts, cancels all of include my personal accounts, by the way, shuts everything down. And I can't use my card. My wife is visiting her family in Australia. She's like, I can't buy groceries. And so I was like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on. So they tell me they can't send me new cards. I call them. They tell me there's something going on. I'm like, what is going on? Why are you canceling all of our accounts? And they're like, well, there's some sort of a federal flag of certain individuals on the account, and so basically we have to kind of like restart new accounts. It's like, okay, this is weird. Michael Hennessy has over 800. I asked him, like, he has over 800 credit score. He's he's 40 years old. He's owned homes. He has a good credit history. We go look at his account. He's got no dings. We call them. We're like, can you tell us what's wrong? And they're like, it's actually a security measure, and you have to send and fax in a request, and we're gonna have to run it through basically executives and this whole thing that we can't tell you. So we're like, we started getting suspicious. We're like, this is really weird. Like, why would we get bank accounts shut down for our company?
Was this?
And then,
real quick, was this before the lawsuit?
Well, they haven't even served me the lawsuit. So we've been on their tail for about 6-7 weeks here. We've been kind of figuring out something was going wrong, and then we found out what was going on before they were able to leak it, thanks to an accidental leak by one of Josh Hammer's journalists, who's not very good, by the way. The funny part is, so we're kind of like suspicious, right? We're like, what's going on? So we've been digging and I've been calling people, trying to figure out what's happening. And might I mind you, myself and Michael have had a lot of problems with the FBI. The FBI actually is so incompetent. Listen to this. They raided his home and took his phone because they connected him to January 6th. They returned his phone to him earlier this year, once he got pardoned by the FBI, and they gave him the wrong phone. So they didn't even like return the right property. Like that's how,
weird.
like, this is not a joke. The FBI came and gave him back his property, and it was somebody else's property. And they called him like, hey, we dropped off the wrong property to you. So that's the FBI we're dealing with here. And so for individuals that are like, I saw Brianna Morello be like, well, I called the TSA, and the TSA said they're not doing anything, malicious. Brianna, I love Brianna. And I go, Brianna, that's like calling McDonald's and being like, all of our ice cream machines really do work all the time. They actually work. And you're like, okay, well, I saw Lisa Reynolds also posted, that's like calling Wells Fargo and them saying, no, we're not assessing dishonest fees on our mortgages. Like that's
right.
It's so funny. So track ahead, Sam Parker gets sued. And he reaches out to me and says, hey, like the journalist kind of mentioned that you were going to be involved in some like serious takedown from Newsweek. This is a journalist said, like, do you know anything about Elijah and this new like takedown? They use the phrase takedown. And so he gets information from Barry Wise's team and also from Josh Hammer's team. They're kind of investigators. We got two different journalistic teams on this case. And those names always are suspicious to me. Why are they everywhere? Why are they everywhere? There's Barry Weiss and Josh Hammer everywhere in this weird stuff. So it kind of comes down to the fact that then we end up basically going, okay, well, if they're going to file a suit, I get a federal lawyer, we go ahead and request at the state level, and they're like, there's been no filings, there's no lawsuits, there's no charges, there's no accusations. And then we're like, there wouldn't be a federal charge or lawsuit heading my way from someone, right? And we look in it, and which is unprecedented, my lawyer said. It's a federal lawsuit for what would be considered even a local municipality accusation. This is like not this is not harassment. This is not sex-based harassment. This is not sexual harassment or any type of a stalking, assault. This is nothing that requires security or some backing of a national, which is more expensive to operate, by the way, a national level court system. They file at the highest court in Florida, the highest court. By the way, this is a key significant point, in the most Jewish district, which then we were like, well, that doesn't matter. I never thought about that before. But then you realize when you read the suit and it's all about making me seem like an anti-Semite and anti-Israel, that you see the motivations.
The Mossad claims.
Because they don't want it to be civil. They want a jury trial. They're demanding jury, or I can settle out of court by giving them all of my assets.
That is still still civil, just to clarify.
Yeah. But I'm saying they didn't just want to like settle, like, hey, look, you pay out or you take down. There was no demands, like retract, take down the statements. They never put a cease and desist out. They never sent an email. They never did anything in a way of like trying to mitigate the issue. Like if they wanted to post down, not only are my DMs open, not only like I'm going to say who, but there was somebody on my couch that was staying at my house. It was like, I'm texting, I always text Alexis Wilkins, like, we're not divided. She could get my number very easily. So meaning it was always suspicious because we saw the lawsuit and we're like, they never did anything to mitigate the issue, which is weird.
What are they arguing? They're arguing you defamed her or what?
Yeah, so it's called defamation by implication is what their standard is. And they're saying that this is legitimately what's worded in there, that I had actual malice according to their court docs, and that I wanted to basically destroy their lives. And I'm going to add on Kash giving her security, unprecedented security, which is, I believe, the first time in history for a girlfriend, non-spouse that doesn't live at the residence that we're using taxpayer dollars, allegedly, to now give her security, taking that detail off of protecting SWAT members who were under threat of being assassinated, because she got some mean, text messages. I mean, not to mention you've been swatted God knows how many times. I mean, how many death threats do I get every day? We don't get, taxpayer funded security. I'd like it. I'm sure you could use it, but we have to pay for our security. Great. So do I. But going down into this, my legal team told me, they're like, the way this is worded is they predicted her getting security, that they're trying to make it look like you've put her and the FBI director in potential harm's way. So he even told me, he goes, if they start getting threats or anything about this, they're going to imply that they're going to need extra security. My lawyer told me this. He's so good. He's like, they told me basically they're going to get security. They're going to kind of escalate and elevate this to make it seem like your retweeting of a picture is making them possibly get murdered. And that's sort of why it's like he's an anti-Semite, he's evil, he's bad, he's in this bad area of the internet, he's inviting, it says, he knows what people are saying, he knew what this would do, he knew the kind of attention it would bring onto us, and it essentially is trying to not say that I defamed her, but it's saying that out of my hatred for Israel, and I mean, you and I have a very funny clip that I saw viral the other day with about 6 million views. I was laughing at the views because it was just us going, Jew, Jewish, Jew. So we have had those conversations, but that's where I'm just telling people there's 3 pages of the documents. There's 3 pages of the document about my quotes about Israel and my opinions on Israel. If you count the other verbiage, it's 4 pages. There's a half a page of the document that contains any information about me defaming Alexis Wilkins.
Well, so they've done nothing. They've not asked for any money. They've not asked for any takedowns. Hey, delete this post, nothing like that, or what? Nope.
They just want $5 million, and if I can't pay, they want to acquire my assets. Now, I want to put something important here. So this is what's horrible. So I've been not just doxxed. People are writing things on how to find my son's bedrooms, how to murder them, to rape and kill my wife. It's gotten disgusting, and they have all my information. I'm getting threatening phone calls, and of course, this is where there's a lot of conflict of interest. Do I go to the FBI over this when the FBI director's, this is due to the FBI director's girlfriend's lawsuit? I'm not saying she is causing this. I just want to clarify. And I've given her a chance to publicly condemn this. I publicly condemned her death threats. I said, hey, look, no one should be threatening anyone, and that she's a public figure, but she should not be getting threatened.
Who filed the suit? Who's the plaintiff?
Well, she's the plaintiff, but here's the deal. This is where we might be in a slap issue, Tim, because what it looks like basically people on the inside, this is just conjecture, so this doesn't matter in court, but people have told me that, Kash was getting pretty upset at me. Someone said they had a conversation with Kash, and he was kind of just ranting, kind of pissed about the shit that I was putting on online. I had quite a few viral tweets. Most of them were just humorous, and I was like, they always said you couldn't trust an Indian in a business deal. And it's Kash to not release Epstein files or whatever. Just typical 90s
trolling,
Halo chat room humor, right? I mean, him being Indian has nothing to do with not releasing the Epstein files. Clearly that's a government corruption issue, a systemic issue. But I'm going to have my fun. And so he has this legal team in DC. So mind you, she's supposed to be living in Tennessee. He apparently doesn't. I mean, I guess he's staying at a military base or something. People say in the DC area. But he's also put himself apparently in government housing with extra protection, which would make sense for an FBI director. I mean, that's not weird,
especially considering. Well, I mean, with the extraneous deep state issues, I think Kash might be worried.
Yeah, it's fair, but to put it as a like in the hilarity of this is like I want to touch on this one part in a second, but they're constantly talking about where do I get my funding from, and the views on my show don't match the size of my show. Meanwhile, they're talking about how I'm irrelevant and no one cares about what I say. Meanwhile, they're just constantly talking about me like, this guy, they always do that. This guy's irrelevant. Nobody follows him. Meanwhile, I've dedicated the last 2 weeks of my life talking about him every day and also using, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to ruin his life. But he's not important and it doesn't matter who he is. She's using an extremely expensive legal team, Bernal, based out of DC. So it's really weird too. My lawyer said it's really weird that she used federal court to then get a DC team that is heavily entrenched in the federal court system that is actually her boyfriend's personal legal team and also board director of his foundation. So she's using the FBI director's paid legal resources. I don't know if it's taxpayer funded. I don't know if Kash has a lot of money or donors that are paying for this, but I looked at her Spotify views, and though I thank you, Kash, for letting us know right before this that she is a country music sensation. So everyone's like, oh, she's just a private citizen. So am I, buddy. Private citizen doesn't mean you're not a public figure. Yeah. Private citizen means you're not a government employee. She's not a government employee, but not only did he say that she's a public figure, Kash told us that. The FBI director said, you are a public figure, but getting 7, maybe 8,000 views, on Spotify per week, you would ask yourself the question, where is she affording lawyers that are between $900 to $3,000 an hour to litigate Kash something like this? It ain't from singing the Star Spangled Banner.
Could it be that you offended Kash's girlfriend and he's like, I'll go to war over this. I'll go to war for my girlfriend?
Oh, 100%. Well, 100%. I'm going to say what's weird about this. This also seems like a proxy related to Kash for 2 reasons that people don't know. So basically, which is you should never do in a lawsuit, by the way, Alexis, and I wish you wouldn't have done this. I made a post that I posted that picture. I'll admit to that. I did post a picture of them. It was posted to her Instagram. Meanwhile, so then she starts taking a post. People know that I've recently, I guess it's here. I've recently started converting to Orthodox Christianity. And you've known me. I'm kind of like have a reputation for being a partier, like whatever. I mean, people are into weird things, Now, you also know I've been slandered a lot too by people for absolutely baseless BS. If anyone's watching this, you probably even know me from the slander and the BS that people have said, yet, never had a lawsuit. I haven't won. I'm not in jail. People say a lot of things about a lot of people. So I've never claimed to be perfect. I don't try to make the world think I'm perfect. I had put a post out just saying like, hey, look, I'm not perfect. I realized that I want to follow God. And now I've realized this is going to be a much bigger deal than I thought because I'm going to actually have to change my actions. And as of right now, this is the longest I've been sober in over 3 years.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, and so it's it doesn't mean anything, but meaning I literally was basically just admitting my faults, being like, yeah, I'm like an imperfect guy, and like this is crazy because I'm gonna have to like stop doing what I love. I love drinking, I love partying, and God says not to do that. She retweets it and starts like mocking my faith, like you think you're a real Christian and this and that, and like meanwhile you're a meanie pants. This is literally how it sounds. You're a meanie pants. How dare you, try to say you're a Christian with all the evil things you say about me?
But is this?
I've never said anything evil about her. I've never even said anything about her except now.
Is this like, are you saying, or do you believe that this is like, this personal drama has turned into a federal filing against you?
Yes. Well, Kash, I think, is using it because you see all this, and then his lawyer is also like in the comments of anytime she's attacking me, he's like backing her up, but not like a lawyer. It's like a friend. Like, yeah, Alexis is right. He's a meanie pants. And then,
well, Elijah, you are a meanie pants. I mean, come on.
I am known to be a little bit of an asshole, and I agree. I am a little bit, but you got to be a little bit to the right people, though. Like Joel Berry and Seth Dillon have lost their minds. And they don't even realize, they don't know how to fight the left anymore. They're like fighting anyone they're fighting Catholic white guys now. It's really a weird fight. I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, funny joke about the pager, guys. I'm sure Megyn Kelly being killed was a good roundtable discussion.
That is an interesting point too, because I haven't had an opportunity to mention this, but I made a point. I said that the Megyn Kelly joke was probably deleted because it was more offensive to Israel than it was to Megyn Kelly, because it implied Israel would murder American citizens who criticize them. I had pro-Israel people respond with, no, the joke is that Megyn Kelly is paranoid about Israel. That's wrong. In the Babylon Bee article, the last line was, her garbage can exploded outside of her house. The joke was that Israel did try to murder Megyn Kelly. And I think they realized that and took it down. It's kind of this weird space right now. And it's I know it seems like it's only tangentially related to what you're talking about.
No,
but
it makes sense.
This is the big rift right now. I mean, it's an accusation of Mossad involvement, comments on Israel, and these individuals who are debating. This Israel issue is a big split on the right. And I suppose the question then is, what you are dealing with, is this just, hey, look, there's a powerful guy named Kash Patel, and you insulted his girlfriend, and so you got to bear the brunt of what a powerful man can do? Or is this because of your politics, and they're saying, we'll use this as a way to go after Elijah?
But that is what's going on, and I'm confident because.
But which one?
Well, I'm saying because the lawsuit, it is about going after your politics. That's why it's like on the side, and I know that because basically we have evidence that the lawsuit was actually suggested by Kash's lawyer, not by Alexis, and he saw an opportunity to come in and to use Alexis's personal drama with me, which I didn't even know was happening. But it's such a funny thing. Like, Alexis is such a big country music star. I didn't even know she was having drama with me. She was like fighting herself, basically. And even this whole fight, you can literally describe it as your wife getting divorcing you because you cheated on her in her dreams. You know, that's literally what this is. It's like, wait, you're mad at me for saying things I didn't. Like, I posted a picture of your face. You're at war with your own image. Such a anecdote of women's struggles there. You're at war with your own image, and without words being said. But apparently she's a nice girl behind the scenes, and that's irrelevant. But the point is that it looks like he suggested it, and it looks like Kash was kind of frustrated with my criticisms of his handling of Epstein. Obviously, that's connected to Israel, and so by saying that I hate Israel, it also can discredit my criticisms of Kash and Epstein, because they kind of be like, well, publicly, look, this guy, he's not really criticizing Kash. He's basically just an anti-Semite, and so therefore, his criticism about Epstein is he just really hates Epstein. He's trying to blame Israel, so he's just kind of like doing that. That's kind of what it appeared that they were trying to kind of paint this as.
Maybe. I know there's going to be a lot of people who want to go the political route and be like, because of the positions you've taken. Personally, I look at it more like, hey, look, man, you insulted a guy's girlfriend, and he's going to go to war with you. You know what I mean? And this guy happens to be particularly powerful in terms of access to resources and connections. I'm not saying anything is right? I'm saying I feel like the motivation is, there's a guy who's like, don't talk about my girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Well, and that, look, and it could be, and I want to be balanced on that regard. He did publicly talk about this before the lawsuits were put out, but I want to clarify, they tried to keep this a secret. And they had a PR campaign, allegedly, that they were going to use to try to take me down. And they were getting Barry Wise's team, Josh Hammer's team, involved in this to try to create this thing. And we found out about it and then made it public, which is why she hasn't really been tweeting and they haven't really been saying anything. We sort of blew the lid on the operation. It was going to try to take me down, and they were searching for other info to grab me on. Now, the problem is Alexis, I'd probably ask your associates at PragerU coming after me to stop illegally defaming me and slandering me, because that doesn't look good, because now it looks like you're trying to attack my character and ruin my life by painting me, number one, in defamatory litigation to paint me. It's not about you. The whole thing is about making me seem bad. And then you have your associates that are also registered representatives of the organization you work for taking jabs. And this is how these people are so ridiculous. There's this guy named Xavier Durandeso or something like that.
DeRusso,
guy who,
right?
Yeah, he's got the top ramen hair. And, he's an interesting fellow. And unrelated to this, he just responds just I was thanking Andrew Colvett and Tyler Boyer. I was sort of just hey, thanks for inviting me back out to AmFest. Shortly before Charlie was murdered, I was invited to rejoin Turning Point. I figured maybe that wasn't the case anymore. And I was told I was blacklisted. I was told directly that the reason why I was blacklisted from the management, from middle management was blocking me, was because donors were not happy with Tucker at SUES.
Well,
and there was a lot of conflict. And so I was being blocked because they didn't want to upset people. There's a lot of drama behind the scenes, right?
Turning Point blocked you from coming to doing what?
So I am a registered speaker with Turning Point. People know that. The only reason why I wasn't speaking for a couple years because I was living in Australia. I'm still on their website. When a school goes to book a speaker and there's pre-approved speakers, I'm a pre-approved Turning Point speaker. I am like not just allowed to go. I am actually on their list, approved by donors, the board, everything. I have a profile in their system. I've never been taken out of that. I came back to the United States, had several schools immediately tried to book me, and their directors, I have all the emails and stuff. I showed Turning Point that I had the evidence. I go, they're being told that they cannot book myself or Candace Owens. That's what they're being told. Because I told the club, I'm smart. I'm like, well, you can't book me. Tell them to book. You want to book Candace. And they kept saying anyone but Candace or Elijah. Anyone but Candace or Elijah. Candace is also, I think, on retainer, so it's very weird. So I obviously was like,
Candace on retainer with Turning Point?
I think at the time, right? This is like a while ago.
Like, even right now, wow.
No. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
So obviously, I've been back for over a year now. Obviously, I sort of was like, okay, fine, Turning Point, you want to do this. So I messaged Colvet. He left me on red, and I was just kind of like, whatever. Now, Colvet called me about 2 weeks before the Charlie was murdered and was like, dude, I wasn't ignoring you. I've been busy. And he was really kind about it and kind of like, dude, like, he literally even told me, like, dude, honestly, like, you and Charlie honestly have a lot of the same, like, ideas and thoughts and everything. And, like, we'd love to have you back. We're not blacklisting you. Like, I'll go clear this up, but I'm letting you know. And I'm not saying anything confidentially, just kind of like letting you know that, like, this is not a higher management decision to block you. This is middle management trying to probably maintain donor relationships and keep, people happy after they're mad that we platformed Tucker with the whole, and Megyn Kelly, the whole Israel stuff. That's probably why you're being blocked. Well, then, they called me after the fact the other day. They called me and they're like, no, actually still come. We still want you around, whatever. So it was interesting because they also said, things are changing, like Charlie's, open to this stuff. I got all that information 2 weeks before he was murdered. So that was weird. That was really weird. I know Marjorie got kind of invited and called, people that weren't really thought they would be involved in Turning Point got brought in. We could have a lot of conversations, man, on and off air, but going forward, yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, going forward, connect this to how weird these people are. I put out a post with me and Charlie on a stage in front of 10,000 kids at AmFest. And I'm just like, hey, guys, just so you know, like, I'm kind of putting some goodwill out there to Turning Point. I'm like, hey, I was blacklisted for this, for my Israeli views. They've said they're going to fix that, and I'll be at AmFest and kind of putting that pressure back on them, publicly announcing what they said. Like, so see me at AmFest. We'll see what happens. And one of the PragerU reps, Xavier with the top ramen hair, the gay black queen of the conservative movement. We all love those. He comes out and he's like, actually, this is like actual defamation, right? This is like genuine defamation. He's like, you were banned because you were like attending underage drinking after parties and cheating on your wife, which is like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you have no idea about anything. And also, that's the most like ridiculous statement to make in the middle of a defamation case, to say something that's completely false. That's what defamation is. It's like, with malice, you're trying to hurt my credibility by saying that you're actually not allowed into the fold because you committed crimes and moral sins.
To clarify, malice in the legal standard means reckless disregard for the truth or knowingly lying. It doesn't mean
that's he knows that's false, and then he follows up. So I said, enjoy your $7,000 under there, and which, by the way, they get paid a lot more at Prager for working there. But mind you, no worries that Alexis Wilkins works with an organization who's, got a spy that leads it. Marissa Strait's great, though, as a human being. I don't have a problem with her. But, I mean, there's a lot of questions there. But then under there, it's like, dude, this is so stupid. This is how they work. Then he's like, yeah, I remember the first and only time I met you, it was at this party at Turning Point. And it turns out the host was 20 years old. It's like, after he got back killing a Arab family in Iraq, he drank a beer at 20. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, he's like, then I left. So the guy's so dumb. He's like saying you're bad because you're going to parties with underage people. Admits to going. He admits to being at underage drinking parties. And then he blames Turning Point. And then it's like, I didn't know the host of the party was 20. Also, who gives a damn? I don't care about that kind of stuff. You live in I'm a 90s kid, baby. I don't care. But also going forward, all of this is just crazy because when you come down to it, he's one of Alexis Wilkins' good friends, associates, and spokespersons for her organization defaming me, meaning I believe this is coordinated. I believe this is coordinated assassination of character.
I can't comment necessarily on the inner workings of like the lawsuit or what that all is, but I do think there's something interesting in that what I've been hearing even behind the scenes, and I'll probably talk about later today or tomorrow or something, nobody wants to hear it, but the right is breaking apart into a bunch of different pieces. There's infighting in every major facet of the right coalition or the movement, whatever you want to call it. There's the obvious stuff like Tucker and Fuentes. There's Candace. There's the stuff you're talking about. And believe it or not, I got stuff to talk about too. That oh, bro, I think by the midterms probably there will be some unity, but I have to wonder if there is an intentional destruction of the right. And I honestly, like, why wouldn't there be? The left certainly doesn't want to lose politically. And if we were to engage in some kind of major conflict, wouldn't the first moves be psychological before they get into, let's just say more extreme elements? If we're already seeing terror attacks, assassinations, and murders, wouldn't there not also be psychological attacks, lawfare, manipulation, etc., on the board? So I have to wonder if all of this infighting we're seeing is actually flames being fanned intentionally to break the coalition and disrupt Trump, the right, or whatever moving into a midterm.
Well, yeah, and this is what I want to answer that by talking about this Xavier thing, because I think I like to use facts and names and people, right? I hate talking about these big ideas and division or whatever. It's like, okay, you have Alexis Wilkins forming this lawsuit connected to the FBI and the Trump admin. It's not being paid for by her, clearly, allegedly, possibly by him or by some sort of donor. Then she's claiming defamation. But the defamation case is about my comments on Israel. That's the key factor. It has nothing to do with her defamation. It's because I'm against Israel, therefore anything I post where she's mentioned is insinuating that she's a spy, which is crazy, the statement, but that's what she's saying. Then you go to this Xavier guy who he has to correct himself because he makes it seem like he makes it sound like I'm giving alcohol to minors. Meanwhile, all he's saying is I showed up at a party who the host happened to be 20, like as if that's a crime, like walking into someone's house where there's like every other influencer, fails to mention every other Turning Point representative and influencers there, which now makes Turning Point look bad because now you're saying there's underage drinking at Turning Point events. So I don't know what this guy's doing. You got PragerU calling another nonprofit out, saying they're serving alcohol to minors. Xavier just said that Turning Point is providing alcohol to minors. Okay, that's what he said in his post without realizing it. Then he admits to being there, which is weird, and then has to clarify, well, they're not minors, they're underage, they're 20. Meanwhile, like, who goes around and is like, who's the host of this party? Who's the host? Show me your ID. And it's like, how would you know that? Okay, so that's weird. It's like, why are you talking to guys and getting their IDs? That's weird. Yes.
I don't know if we have time to like break through every granular element of what's going on. We're a bit over though.
Yeah. I had an important point to say on this real fast.
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to ask you.
So you go this, and you're like, okay, it doesn't matter. However, I want to read this one thing to you. When you said they're psychological, I do believe that there is, because when you look at what people are saying, then you get other accounts. This person said, Elijah Schaffer's trying to rewrite history about Turning Point. This guy named the Older Millennial. He says, you didn't get blacklisted over your Israel views. You got blacklisted because now I had after parties. Just change it. Now I'm throwing parties, drinking with minors, and I'm fucking around on my wife. You can bleep that, with multiple young girls. So insinuating I'm a child molester or a rapist. Like I'm inviting kids over my house, he's saying, and like having sex with kids. This is like actually where it gets to. This is a big account, by the way, with hundreds of thousands of people. He says they blacklisted you, your pedo ass. No, he's calling me a pedophile. This is very serious stuff because you're weird, not because you don't like Israel. And you click on his account, he's a massive Zionist, and all he does is post about Israel in favor of Israel. So, but this goes from I'm being sued for posting a picture to now individuals, and due to this lawsuit, are threatening my life. I've had to leave my house. I want to clarify this. I've had to leave my house. I've had to break my lease, get out of my house, move to an undisclosed location. I've had to evacuate my family from the state due to real threats that are going on in my life. The FBI doesn't care. They've never reached out. I have a field rep. They do reach out sometimes for other things. Not on top of that now, the associates of Alexis are calling me a pedophile and claiming that I provide illegal substances to children and rape children. Now, that's to me,
No, they really don't
that's
like
what
you.
a foreign op looks like. That is a very odd escalation of events. And then in the midst of this, what happens? She gets security because really she's the victim, and this is very dangerous for her. I have to say, if I ever saw a foreign op, it's like, and by the way, also adding in like Will Chamberlain and Wyatt Claypool, these guys are now launching investigations, trying to lobby the government to investigate me for FARA violations, claiming I'm being funded by Qatar or whatever. And so it's like, this seems like a hit job on me. And I don't think I'm the only person experiencing something like this. To me, this seems way more coordinated, way more malicious than Alexis getting her feelings hurt. And I would actually suggest, and I want to say this last point, I may actually suggest that Alexis may be a victim of something, and they may be manipulating her emotions to use her to start a lawsuit to do what they wanted to do to me. So she may be unaware of all of this.
Are you funded by Qatar?
Am not, but I can give you my email if anyone out there. If you have, it's Elijah at rifttv.com. Shoot me the contact. I would like to be funded by Qatar. So I'm being genuine. If you have millions, actually, hold up 1 second.
Uh-oh.
Good news, everybody. I just got a courier in the mail. Anyways, Qatar did nothing wrong. Thanks, guys. There's another one coming, apparently.
So, I don't think that we can get through every component of what's going on. I just think, my thoughts on this, it's interesting how, obviously, people are talking about what's going on with you in this lawsuit. It's made it to Newsweek. It's made it to a bunch of these, more like mediaites talking about it. Then you get this quadruple S. It's a bit demoralizing to see the current state of the right, but thanks for joining and shedding light on your views on it and everything that's going on. Where can people find you?
Yeah, guys, check this out. So we're back on YouTube. I know this is more of a YouTube channel. On Rumble, you can find us too, but on YouTube, I got 2 channels. So I got one called The Rift TV, RAFT TV. That's a weekly show that's live. But I also resurrected my slightly offensive channel, which you cannot find. It doesn't show up in search, and there's no suggestion. But I've decided in this day and age, you don't need algorithms anymore. People will find your content, and it's been working. The people are finding the videos. It's very, very staunchly right-wing content, so slightly offensive, and also Rift TV for more neutral news analysis. You can also follow me at Elijah Schaffer on X. Tim, hey, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate all the work that you do. I love the nuance, and I also am pretty much excited for what's ahead, because we still don't know who was behind the killing of Charlie Kirk. I think we all have a lot of questions. And we still want justice for that. So we're gonna stay on board and keep fighting until we continue to hold those accountable for killing our friend.
Right on, brother. Well, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
All right, everybody. That is, of course, Elijah Schaffer. What a wild story this is turning into. These tweets are getting a ton of traction, millions of views. And so what can I say? But there is the challenge of Kash is a friend of the show. We've had him on several times. I'm an advocate. I think he does great work. I am not here to impugn his honor, nor Elijah, who is also a friend and been on the show. And you find yourself in weird positions sometimes where, look, the drama, the infighting, it's demoralizing. And I have not a bad word to say about Kash. Actually, I'm a fan. I think he's doing a pretty bang-up job. I think he's doing a good job. I know a lot of people are concerned about whether the Epstein files are going to get released or his opinions and views on these things. I think he's been straightforward with us. When he appeared on the show before joining the Trump admin, his views have largely been consistent. Not perfectly, nobody is. But guys, if it's not Kash and Dan, I mean, who else is there who's going to get the job done for you? Take your wins where you can. That being said, as far as it goes with Elijah, I can't speak to that. I got to be honest, that feels a bit personal. You go after a man's girlfriend, man's going to defend his honor. I mean, what can you expect? It is what it is. Smash that like button, share the show. Stay tuned. We got more to come. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll see you all tonight at 8 p.m. for Timcast IRL.